We are raised to believe that family first is a sacred, unbreakable pact. We build our lives around it, sacrifice for it, and trust our children to be our legacy. But what happens when that pact is betrayed? For Elara Reed, 72, the answer was a beige room in a luxury care home, a transition, her son called it. But she knew exactly what it was: elder abandonment. She was being filed away, her vibrant past dismissed, her future reduced to a medical chart. But her son, in his cold efficiency, made one critical, catastrophic miscalculation. He never bothered to check the name of the facility's chief administrator. He never imagined that Dr. Arthur Vance, the man holding the keys to Elara's new cage, was the fiery, passionate lost love she was forced to give up 54 years ago. Suddenly, the quiet end of her life has become the ultimate senior care plot twist, trapped by a bitter intergenerational conflict that seeks to label her as unstable. Elara must now partner with the ghost of her past to reclaim her future, proving that an unexpected second chance is sometimes the most dangerous and necessary one of all. The room smelled of lemon-scented bleach and polite indifference. Elara, 72, sat stiffly on the edge of the twin bed, her knuckles white as she gripped the vinyl armrest of her new chair. Her son, Mark, had called this transitioning. Elara called it what it was: elder abandonment, executed with the sterile precision of a boardroom decision. She'd spent 40 years building a home, only to be filed away in a beige cabinet by children who saw her as a liability, not a mother. She refused to weep. That was her flaw, her husband used to say. Too much iron in her spine. But that iron felt like the only thing holding her together as she surveyed the empty room. This was her new ordinary world. The silence was absolute, broken only by the distant hum of a floor buffer. This was the consequence of her intergenerational conflict. She'd been too proud to beg, and they'd been too busy to listen. She was just another file, another resident in a system that didn't care about her past. A polite, firm knock echoed. "Mrs. Reed, I'm Dr. Vance, the chief administrator. Just wanted to come by and personally welcome you." The door swung open, and Elara prepared a thin, courteous smile. It dissolved instantly. The man in the crisp white coat wasn't a stranger. He was older, his hair a distinguished silver, his face lined with a life she hadn't known, but the eyes were the same. It was Arthur, her Arthur, from 1968. He stopped dead in the doorway, the welcome packet slipping from his fingers. "Ellie," he breathed, the name a ghost falling from his lips. 54 years evaporated. This wasn't just a lost love reunion. It was a cosmic joke, a senior care plot twist of the highest order. The man whose heart she broke in favor of a safer life was now the one holding the keys to her cage. And as his gaze locked onto hers, Elara realized her greatest secret and her deepest regret were now standing 3 feet in front of her. Arthur regained his composure first, a mask of professionalism sliding over the shock. "Elara, Reed, I wasn't expecting—" He cleared his throat, the sound unnaturally loud in the small room. He was Dr. Vance now, not Artie from the drive-in. Elara watched him, her heart a trapped bird against her ribs. This was the man she'd left for a stable marriage, a man she'd convinced herself was just a youthful folly. That choice, her loyalty to a sensible future, had created her legacy, a son who saw her as a burden. "Mark handled the arrangements," she said, her voice clipped. "He's very efficient." The words were an accusation, a defense, and a confession all at once. The bitter core of her intergenerational conflict laid bare. Arthur nodded, his eyes scanning her face, not her medical chart. He saw what Mark didn't, The unbroken woman beneath the patina of age. This senior care plot twist wasn't just awkward, it was a reckoning. He was witnessing the direct consequence of her life's biggest decision. He listed your primary reason for admission as preventative care, Arthur said, his tone carefully neutral as he finally looked at the file. But your medical history shows perfect vitals. You're healthier than I am. He looked up, and the professional mask cracked. Why are you really here, Ellie? The question hung in the air, sharp and dangerous. He wasn't just a doctor. He was the one person alive who knew the woman she'd been before she became mom, the woman who would never have chosen this. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. This isn't just a lost love reunion, is it? He murmured. This is something else. He shut the file with a soft, final thud. I'm your doctor, Ilara, and I have to follow procedure, but Artie wants to know why you look like you're facing a prison sentence, before she could answer. A nurse paused in the doorway, giving Arthur a curious look. He ignored her, his gaze fixed on Ilara. Don't unpack, he said. Not yet. I'm taking your case off the general rotation. We have a problem. Arthur's cryptic warning, we have a problem, hung in the air, offering a bizarre sliver of hope, an unexpected second chance. But that hope curdled when Nurse Brenda entered, a clipboard her scepter and a chipper smile her armor. All right, Mrs. Reed, let's get you processed. We need to go over your personal history form. It's blank. She tapped the paper. We just need the basics, dear. Hobbies, past profession. It helps us keep you engaged. This was it. The $100 billion mistake in action. The system reducing a vibrant, complex past to a data point for activities. Ilara's spine stiffened. My hobbies won't affect my vitals, nurse. She glanced past Brenda, seeing Arthur, Dr. Vance, down the hall, locked in a low, tense discussion with another staff member. He looked trapped, a man caught in the gears of his own machine. The realization hit her. The intergenerational conflict with her son was just the prelude. This sterile, patronizing system was the main event. It was designed to manage the elderly, not to see them. Brenda's smile tightened, her pen hovering. Ma'am, the form is mandatory. It's for your own safety. She made a small, precise note on Ilara's chart. A single word Ilara didn't need to see to understand. Difficult. The consequence of her pride was immediate. She was now a problem to be solved. This senior care plot twist wasn't a romance, it was a trap. The system fundamentally ignored the possibility of a late-life romance or a complex past. It only saw risks and liabilities. Later that evening, Arthur returned alone, the polished administrator gone. He looked exhausted. Ellie, I need you to be honest with me, he said, his voice low as he shut the door. He held a different file, this one thin and red-tagged, Your son, Mark. When he filed your admission papers, he also filed a petition for emergency guardianship, claiming cognitive decline. He paused, his gaze meeting hers, full of a pain she hadn't seen in 50 years. And Ilara, he used me, our past, as the primary evidence of your instability. Ilara's breath hitched. He what? The words were a cold spike of betrayal, far sharper than the initial elder abandonment. Mark hadn't just dumped her, he'd weaponized her past, twisting her lost love reunion into a symptom of senility. He told you about us? The room felt suddenly small, the beige walls closing in. This was the true intergenerational conflict. Her son, her own flesh and blood, was actively working to discredit her mind, to secure his inheritance, and he was using Arthur as the trigger. He didn't have to tell me, Ellie, Arthur said, his voice rough with a new protective anger. He just told the board I was a complicating factor from your past, and that your fixation on me was proof you couldn't manage your affairs. He ran a hand through his silver hair. He's smart. He's painted me as the conflict of interest, making it impossible for me to sign off on your release. He's using my position against both of us. The consequence was a perfect legal cage. This, Ilara realized, was the true test. Mark saw her as a declining senior. He'd underestimated her. But Arthur knew Ellie, the girl who'd organized the senior prom sit-in, the one who'd never backed down. So, he thinks I'm unstable, she said, a dangerous glint entering her eye. He thinks I'm just a patient, and you're just a doctor. This was the pivot. The medical charts and standardized procedures were useless here. The only thing that mattered was the deep, shared history that Mark had tried to use against them. Your son is trying to bury you, Ellie, Arthur said, his gaze locking with hers. He's counting on this system to see you as a number, but I'm not the administrator he's petitioning. I'm the man who knows your high school nickname. I know you're not unstable. You're furious. He leaned in, the mentor arriving in this new, terrible world. Mark has the system on his side, but I have the keys. We're going to have to fight, but it won't be a legal fight. It'll be a heist. The word heist electrified the sterile air. Ilara felt a pulse of adrenaline so sharp it almost made her laugh. This, then, was the unexpected silver lining of senior abandonment. Her son's cold, calculated betrayal had inadvertently triggered a lost love reunion that was now morphing into an escape plan. The nest she'd been forced from wasn't just a memory. This beige room was a prison. And Arthur, part mentor, part co-conspirator, was offering her a key. This was her call to adventure. Arthur, be serious, she whispered. The refusal of the call a reflexive, conditioned fear. Mark has lawyers, petitions, guardianship. We're 72. What are we going to do? Outrun the orderlies? She gestured to the locked door. This is the inmost cave, and I'm already in it. This was the intergenerational conflict weaponized. Her son was using the very system meant to protect her as a cage, and her age was the lock. That, Arthur said, his eyes crinkling with a familiar rebellious spark, is exactly why it will work. The system is designed to manage the frail, not to stop the clever. They underestimate you. He pulled his chair closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial hush. The annual summer gala is in 2 days. It's our fun and games. The entire board will be there. Mark will be there, playing the grieving, devoted son. It's the one night the security protocols are relaxed for guests. He's not just planning an escape. He's planning a public detonation. Mark expects you to be a victim. He's counting on you being a footnote in your own life. He slid a small, simple cell phone across the table. A talisman. This isn't registered to the facility. I'm your doctor, making a house call. But we are planning your resurrection. The phone vibrated with a text. That's our ally, Arthur said. He's a driver. He's also my grandson. He already thinks you're a legend. The gala was a sea of forced smiles and cheap champagne, the perfect backdrop for a tragedy. But Ilara felt a fire she'd thought long extinguished. This wasn't a denouement. It was the climax. Arthur had prescribed an evening pass, smuggling in a deep blue velvet dress from her confiscated luggage. She wasn't a patient tonight. She was Ellie, the protagonist of her own 72-year-old plot twist. Across the room, she saw Mark, the living embodiment of her intergenerational conflict, already spinning the narrative of her elder abandonment to a sympathetic board member. Arthur, her mentor and ally, moved with practiced ease. Mrs. Reed, lovely to see you enjoying the music. He spoke for the benefit of the nurses, but his hand on her elbow was a signal. 5 minutes. His grandson was waiting by the service exit. This was the ordeal, the razor's edge of their unexpected second chance. One wrong move, one flicker of suspicion, and her son's legal trap would snap shut forever. turning this fragile hope into just another story of a failed late-life romance. She took a breath and moved toward the terrace, Arthur flanking her. But Mark's eyes were sharp. He'd been watching them. He cut them off, his smile a tight, cold mask. "Mom, Dr. Vance, you're looking flushed. Perhaps this is too much excitement for you." He was asserting his power, the antagonist forcing the confrontation. "I was just getting some air, Mark," she said, her voice steady. He ignored her, turning his full chilling attention to Arthur. "Doctor, I'd like a word about my mother's treatment plan." Mark's voice was low but carried the lethal precision of his legal training. "In fact, I just filed an emergency injunction. I'm moving her, tonight, to a facility with better security." He produced a folded document from his jacket. This wasn't a threat, it was a checkmate. The senior care plot twist had just turned deadly. "Your little lost love reunion is over," he whispered just for Arthur, "and as of right now, you're suspended pending an ethics review for your conduct with my mother." Elara and Arthur's journey proves that the greatest betrayals often come from those we built our lives for, but our most profound rescues can come from the ghosts we thought we'd left behind. Theirs was never just a late-life romance. It was a rebellion. They didn't just escape a building. They escaped the tyranny of being seniors, the assumption that your life is over, your passions are dead, and your voice no longer matters. They exposed the elder abandonment hidden behind medical charts and proved that the senior care plot twist is life itself, waiting to be lived. But what would you have done when faced with Mark's legal checkmate? Would you have folded, or would you have trusted the man you hadn't seen in half a century? Was Elara's greatest mistake trusting her son or leaving Arthur all those years ago? And what of Mark? Was his intergenerational conflict born of greed? Or was it a twisted, fearful kind of care? Which decision in this story would have changed everything for you? This saga is over, but the questions remain. Share this story if you believe in the power of an unexpected second chance, and be sure to subscribe to follow new sagas of love, loss, and the fight to reclaim one's life.